Would everybody like to find 24 hours a year in their life? Yes. Fabulous. Let's go. Now, what we've done is I've broken these down into 4 separate categories. We're going to cover what can we do better with our email. Then we're going to switch over to calendaring and our scheduling of our calendar to find some ways we're going to work better there. We're going to turn next over to the task and project management area of our lives. And then finally, we're going to finish up in what I call the workplace environment. This is where you physically work and with whom you physically work. And we're going to put 6 tips and tricks in every single one of those, which will get us 24. So let's start first with email. How many people love their email? Yeah, there's always a couple. How many people hate their email? All right. How many? Thank you. Good. I'm glad I'm in the majority. How many people could effectively do their job today without your email? Nobody. This thing is not going anywhere. It's the boon and the bane of our existence. It's coming at us 24/7, 365 from all over the world all the time. So what are a few things we can do to put this horse back in the barn a little bit? First, foremost, most important thing that I tell people when I'm working with them on email is turn your new message alerts off. These things are killing you. They are self-inflicted interruptions that are coming at you ping, ping, ping throughout the day. Just to give you an example of how much interruption this causes you, I was working with a client one day, and I had asked her to change a setting in her Microsoft Outlook. And I'd asked her to click on View. And just as she went up to click on View, ping, flash, up came that new message alert in the right corner. And I watched her head go down to that corner, process what that preview said, come back up, reprocess my instruction, click View. 4 seconds. Took her 4 seconds to do that. 4 seconds of activity, no productivity. Nothing got done. Now, the average corporate employee gets 99 emails a day, so let's round up to 100 to keep the math easy for the ex-lawyer. That's 400 seconds a day of nothing getting done. There's a lot of activity going on, but nothing is actually fundamentally getting done. Divide that by 60, that's over 6.5 minutes lost just looking at the ding. Ding, ding, ding. Turn this thing off. Now, you're saying to yourself, but Paul, I got to process my email. Well, of course you do. But let's process it old school style, like we do with our regular mail. Let's batch process the email. Again, another example. When you come home at night with your briefcase and your keys, you throw them up on the counter, you head out to the mailbox and you grab your mail. Come back in, you sit down and you start processing your mail, right? You go through the whole batch of mail all at once. Well, imagine if you did it this way. Keys down, briefcase down, out to the mailbox you go. You grab one letter out of the mailbox. Come all the way back in the house. Open up the one letter. No, of course you would never do that. So why do we do that with our email? We need to batch process the email in order to be more effective when we are looking at our email. Now, how often should I batch process my email, Paul? Well, as often as you need to stay reasonably responsive. And by that I mean 15, 20 minutes. You can go 15 to 20 minutes easily without checking your email. Get in there, check it, deal with it, move back to what you were doing. You might stretch it out to a half an hour. I don't know. I've had clients get all the way to an hour without checking their email, a whole hour without checking their email. Now, what you can do here is stop reacting to it in a Pavlovian way. Start commanding your email by checking it on a regularly slated basis. Get back to people as you need to, and then regain your focus because you're not getting pinged and blipped and previewed all day long. So there's a couple of things we can do with our email itself. Let's turn now to the individual emails and how we can better manage individual emails. Third tip in this section is this: one subject per email. These are free. We can send as many of them as we want, so let's separate out the various subjects per email to reduce the risk of confusion and misunderstanding. How many people have ever been camping? Camping. All right, how many people have ever been camping and around the campfire one person starts telling the story, whatever story they make up, And then the second person tells it to the third person, whispering in their ear, fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way around the campfire, right? You know what I'm talking about? Right? What happens between the time the story starts and the story ends? It changes, right? It changes dramatically because people only remember so much of what you told them. When you start mixing subjects and information regarding separate subjects in an email, you are greatly increasing the risk that someone's going to misunderstand something. And if they start working on it based on the false information or the misunderstood information or some kind of confusion, they're going to end up doing the wrong thing, which means we get to do it again. Or you'll get to do it again even better. So let's just do one subject for each email. By the way, you'll be able to file it one place, you'll be able to retrieve it in one place, and you won't have mixed messaging in an email should anybody need to look at that email way down the road 5 years from now that has information in it maybe you'd rather they didn't see because it was on a different subject. Fourth recommendation is very similar. Subject lines. Let's leverage our subject lines. That's the little Ray line right there at the bottom that most people put in, update. What's up? How are ya? I've got 20 how are yas in my inbox right now. It doesn't tell me anything. Back in the old days when we wrote letters, how many people here have ever written a letter? Yeah, the hands go up less and less. What we had, though, was the Ray line. Remember, you had the date and the address box of who you were sending the letter to. And then down there on the Ray line, you never said, what's up? Right? So what we have to do is we have to use a good subject line. Put some information in there. Let the recipient of that email know what you're communicating about. And they can find it faster, and they can file it faster. Use a good, solid subject line whenever you're sending an email. And you can create conventions. The book talks about the conventions so that it's common for everybody in the organization, even in your department. So all of a sudden, you have a much more effective and efficient working environment simply because you took advantage of this little blank line that's always been there. That's what I mean, that you don't have to buy into quiet spacing at all for this stuff. You can just do little things to make your life just a little better. How many people, well, let's do number 5 first. One of the things I hate about email is reply all. I hate reply all. People hammer that thing all day long. I'm surprised we haven't worn our screens out banging on that button. We need to minimize use of reply all. You can actually physically move the reply all button in Microsoft Outlook to the far right. So anybody that has any influence over IT. We had a client do this. I had a client do this one time, and they cut their internal email down by 25%. It's a habit. People hit reply all simply because it's there. Stop doing it. Do what you can to minimize the unnecessary emails going around. Now, I'm usually interested in how many donuts are left, but I'm really not interested when we run out. Right? So as the emails go around, I'm thinking, oh, I might go get a donut, It's really better for me not to. But as these emails go circulating around the office, all we're doing is increasing our risk of making a mistake by double deleting something simply to keep abreast of the donut count. Not a highly effective and efficient way to use our email.
Thank you, Paul. The presentation was great, and there's a lot of good tips in there.
I'm going to take a few of his points back and put it to use. I know that it's going to make me more effective, and I really am grateful. Brought him to our meeting, so it was a wonderful experience.
This was the second time I heard you, and the first time I heard you, I took the sequestering and the peripheral thing to change my desk, and it's made a major difference.
Good.
I thought you were excellent today. People were really engaged. It was a great addition to our conference. So thank you.
I enjoyed it. I'll take those things back and use them well and train my people to use them. I've got a couple of multitaskers who start my meetings with their screens up.
Oh, yes, I did enjoy it very, very much. It's always nice to learn something new, but it's the sequestering and not scheduling the whole day, which is what I tend to do. So yeah, he was very, very good.